Michael, it's been a busy week at the club with the departure of Ross Wilson. What's your reaction to that news?
Obviously, we wish him well. I think in around the training ground, he was a huge positive figure. Obviously, someone that I worked really closely with. A lot of people in the club as well around the departments, which he oversaw. And obviously, we've been having chats behind the scenes for a couple of weeks, and it was clear that he felt this was an opportunity for him to go to a new club and start a new journey. So we wish him well. You know, he's well liked around the club. A lot of the players were recruited in the time that Ross was here, and he's got a lot of time for them, and it's vice versa. And as I say, he's a friend as well as a colleague. So we really wish him well.
What's next in that department? Would you prefer to still work in a sporting director structure? How would you like to see it going forward?
Well, in that sort of role, and listen, it's named sporting director, technical director, whatever you want to term it, I think it's a safeguarding of the club. It's someone that oversees the departments, one of those departments being the first team. And I think it safeguards the club in terms of future management signings and making sure the strategy from the board is put in place. It's replaced the old-fashioned manager, if you like, of years gone past, and a manager that does it all. And it's what suits each club, and there's no right and wrong, and I'm sure our board and John Bennett now will take his time to assess everything and decide what comes next. In the short term, I'll oversee what happens here at the training ground day in, day out. I'm very close to the recruitment staff anyway. A lot of our targets and the conversations are up and running, pre-season's planned, so for me it's the loss of a close ally in the club and a good friend that I enjoyed working with. But in terms of my role, I just crack on as normal.
So you're confident this doesn't throw any uncertainty onto summer recruitment plans?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Who finalises them then in this interim period? If you like, you say there's still conversations are underway and it is to be finalised. How does that process look?
Myself. Yeah, myself.
You spoke to him a lot, Michael. What part do you think did the fans' protests against him play in his decision?
Well, I think he's been here for 3.5 years, and I think he's been through 3 managers now. It's just the 3rd manager. He obviously inherited Stephen, and then Gio came in, and he's had a lot of highs. You know, win the league, the Europa League, getting to the final, winning the Scottish Cup, and he's had offers along the way. And I just felt that, and you'd have to ask him yourself, but just in my conversations with him, I think he felt it was a good moment for him and his family, and you have to respect that. And I thought he'd done a good job here. You know, it's the outside perception is not what everybody feels and sees day in, day out inside. When you work in a big club, there's always going to be opinion about your success or not. But Ross will be known here as a really good guy who was here 24/7. And the one thing that in, day out, that you'll miss in terms of his personality was how positive he was through good and bad times. He was always on the remit and always on the job that the board was obviously demanding of him.
You said that recruitment plans, I think, are well underway. Have you got players who have agreed to sign yet, or is it just your list you've got ready?
No, listen, there's players that we're speaking to, there's targets. Obviously, you're speaking to agents and you're away doing pretty much what every club would do. I'm not going to give you the ins and outs of that, as you can imagine, but I'm confident and I'm happy with where things are right now.
Michael, you said there that John Bennett and the board will decide what happens next in terms of the football structure, and if there is someone that oversees, like Ross Wilson. Is that a position you want, though?
No, I'm a manager.
No. You want filled, as in you said.
Oh, listen, I think that my communication with the board here at Rangers is really strong. You have to think that I'm not a new member of staff that's come in from November. A lot of these board members I've known since 2018, so there's a long-term relationship. They made me an offer to come back, so it tells you that my links within this club are strong and the communication lines are strong. With John taking over from Douglas, it's a familiar face, and I've got a direct line to him. Stuart Robinson I've got a good relationship with, and so in terms of the communication in this short term, there's no problem. If the club deem fit that we should have another sporting director, and that's the good model for the club, because it's a wide-reaching role here at Rangers. It has an overseeing of line managing the academy staff, the women's staff, not just the first team manager. That's and recruitment, everything that comes in. It's somebody that's a buffer between those heads of department and the board, and that's how a lot of clubs work now. You know, 5-10 years ago, maybe it wasn't the norm in the UK, but now it very much is. In the short term, am I able, with the head of recruitments and all the line managers, to do their jobs? Of course I am. Once we get through the summer window, or we get into the summer, if the club deem that it feels good the way it is at the moment, then no problem. I've got no problem working alone or with a sporting director.
Can I take you back to last weekend's game? There was a lot of fallout from that game. The club said they weren't happy that the SFA felt the decision was the right decision. Did you speak to Crawford Allen?
No, I haven't. In the past I have, but not this week. And I wasn't involved around the answering of questions and stuff that. For me, the game was done. I disagree with one decision. I got it wrong on another, because the angle that I'd seen, I thought it had hit the boy's arm. It hadn't, so fair play. But I still think the first decision was the wrong one. And it's up for debate, but the game's gone. We're not going to be able to change the result of the game or anything. I think any of the stuff that I've read and seen earlier, don't know the actual facts about, but if Kevin's been getting abuse, I think it's not something that we can accept in football, and it's something that as a club we condemn and we're not happy with. I think the referee, whoever the referee is in whatever game around the world, it's a difficult job as it is, and I think on the day the referee goes to make the decisions that he sees. I happen to think in that moment it was a wrong decision, but across the whole game, you can't count too many decisions that were up for debate. It was just that one moment, and it had an impact. And after every big derby game, certainly this derby, it drags on for days and days and days, and we need to be careful of that. I thought it was a good game against two teams. Unfortunately, we come off second best. I'm disappointed in that more than anything else.
Michael, what's the injury situation at the moment? How are you looking for the game at the weekend?
There's quite a few that are unavailable this weekend. Connor Goldson's still unavailable. Ridvan Yilmaz has come out of training early in the week. He's unavailable. Antonio Cholak come out of training yesterday. He's unavailable. Scott Wright is unavailable as well. Ryan Jack and Ryan Kent.
Can I ask about the injury situation in general over the course of the season? It's obviously badly diminished the team in a lot of ways. Is it something the club has been looking at in detail in terms of the staffing, the amount of detail that goes into the injury situation? Is that whole department something that you're reviewing?
I wouldn't say we're reviewing it, because obviously I came in November, and a big part of the season is your preparation at the start. So I came in and you're picking up the pieces as you go. We've been able to play a consistent 11 for, I would probably say, 18 of the 21 games I've been here. If you look, you know, the back fours all of a sudden been very, very consistent. Ryan Jack's played as much football as he's played in a long time, you know, so I don't think there's a huge issue there. There's different types of injuries. There's overtraining or overuse injuries, and then there's contact injuries. And I think we would always look closely at the ones that were from overtraining or overuse. And certainly in any football club, when you start getting injuries, the other players have to play more, and it leads to it. And our schedule, I think, up to prior to me coming in, I think there'd been 13 or 14 weeks of 3 game weeks at the start of the season, and it will be the same next season. So you have to build a squad that can withhold 14 or 15 weeks of playing 3 games a week, and you have to use your squad wisely, and your pre-season's important. All I can think about is planning a squad and building a squad for next season that's a little bit more robust than what we've been this year. And I don't know the wheres and whys of why we've had injuries, but since I've been back in the main, I've been quite pleased. I think when you change manager 3 times in probably 14 months, like Rangers has, and then that also has staff, that different fitness staff, different ways of coaching and stuff like that, that's all an impact as well. We need some stability. And through stability, same way of training, same fitness coaches, same medical staff, I think all that dies down. It's not an issue that I ever incurred when I was here as a first team coach under Stephen, for example. It's one that I've come back into and I've managed, and I think the staff have managed quite well to this point.
Given what you've said there, then Michael, would fair to say that this is a transitional period for the club at the moment, in terms of you've come in, Ross Wilson's gone, there may be a new sporting director, players will come in again and go, but with that transition there's still a huge demand for success here from the fans.
Yes, what comes as part of the course. We're a big club. I think we've got really strong foundations, and now it's about making good decisions. And that's what I would say. I think that the team has been performing well. I think that it's had a a couple of games where it's had rough results, but actually there's not too much to make up. I want to move really quickly this summer. The window, we need to be aggressive, we need to be early in the window, we need to identify good players. I think we had a good January in terms of bringing Todd Cantwell and Nico Raskin in the building, and we need to continue doing that as well. So I think there's a strong foundation. There's got to be some strong decisions made now and good decisions. And I'm excited by that. I'm excited by having the responsibility of, along with the board and the people that support me in making those decisions, but I'm excited by it.
You talk about stability being required. How long do you think it will be before you have your team in place, not just on the park, but everything around you as well, sporting director you can work with, everything to make you comfortable with going forward? And I know you're comfortable at the moment, but you're not there yet.
No, listen, it's a good summer for us. You know, there won't be much time for resting when the season ends. There's a lot of work done. I'm trying to do that work now, and the club's aware of that. John Bennett has come into taking over from Douglas and has come in with a lot of energy and some good ideas, and we've had some conversations already. I feel I have really, really strong support from the board. I always felt that anyway, but I certainly feel that in this moment. The communication in the last few days have been very clear. I've been able to share my ideas as well, but it's always been transparent. A lot of the planning's been going on since November. Obviously, we can only action a little bit of it in January, and we'll action it again in the summer. But as I say, I'm excited about that. I'm seeing good things, enough good things from my team in terms of the core players I want to move forward with, that makes me excited about one or two, or more than one or two of the additions we're going to look to make this summer.
In terms of St Mirren tomorrow, I watched them last week at Tynecastle. Very direct, and Stephen Robinson is, you know, one of the wonders of the season, to be fair, aren't they?
Stephen's done a very, very good job. It's interesting. We've played 21 domestic games, and I haven't played against St Mirren yet, which is obviously something with the schedule. It was obviously the last game before the World Cup break before I came in. I think they're 3 points off of third place, and the European money there. There's a fantastic battle in the division at the moment. We're entering into the last 7 league games where, obviously naturally with a split, but I'm assuming Aberdeen and St Mirren will make the top 6 as well. We've got 7 games against teams around us, and I think there's everything to play for some of those clubs for that European place. We can see what it did for Hearts financially this year, and the other clubs will be very aware of that. So Stephen's done a good job. I think he'll make things really difficult for us tomorrow. It's important that we bounce back. I'm looking at the team training this week. I'm happy with where we're at, and the team that we're playing tomorrow, I think it's quite an exciting team, so I'm looking forward to the game as well.
Of those 5 or 6 fresh injuries that you mentioned, is there concern that any of those could be longer term? We'll
have to assess. I think 1 or 2 are just nicks and niggles that we don't want to take a risk on right now. Obviously, Connor, we know, is going to be away with a possibility of playing next weekend, but we've got an eye obviously on the semi-final for him. Ryan Kent, right at the end of the game, had an awkward landing, and he's got quite a lot of bruising around it and has not been able to come back to training this week. So we just need to assess where that is early part of next week. Ridvan will be back. Tony has a slight problem with his calf. Jacko yesterday just opened his knee out a little bit, but we don't think there's anything major there.
Michael, going back to the transfer work in the summer, previously with QPR, I think you signed 4 Bosmans in the summer there, and you've had success previously with Sakala and Lundstrom. Is that a market you'll be looking to go into again?
Well, we just went into it obviously in the last window with Todd and Nico, and we're always looking at what's out there and what's interesting, and how we can maximise, you know, the budget that we've got to bring in as many good players. The first thing is, do they fit Rangers, not the price. We are certainly in a country where we have to cut our cloth cleverly and according to the budget that we have, but it's a market that I'll look at closely. I think, you know, if you look at this year with someone like Malik Tillman alone with an option is always great as well for a player at maybe a big club that cannot break through. There's lots, and with me and my staff, the big thing is our network is very strong. If you add that then to the recruitment team here, we're searching far and wide, but if the window goes how I plan it to go, then you'll be able to trace a lot of the players back to some that maybe I've worked with, or you'll be able to see the links. They'll be clear. It's important that we recruit strongly and we recruit the right type of people as well.
Michael, how do you hope to use this last run of games? Is this an opportunity to give the guys who have not had a lot of game time some more minutes?
First thing is we have to keep winning, and I want a strong Rangers on the team, and it certainly won't devalue the shirt and just give people minutes, because I think that they've been waiting. They have to deserve them, and we've got a semi-final, and we want to end the season well. We want to retain the Scottish Cups. There's still a lot to play for. Within that, there will be opportunities, but the biggest thing is that the players have to earn it on the training pitch.
Saw Robbie McCrory out on the pitch as the third goalkeeper at the weekend. Is his chance coming up soon? Yeah,
he's getting closer and closer to where I think, in full fitness. Since I come in, he's barely been able to train or play, but now he has had 2 B team games, and in this last few games it's fair to say that at some point you will see Robbie McCrory being given an opportunity for sure.